Since the release of the Switch 2, most people have noticed that recently, Nintendo's games have not been hitting the same. In 2017 and 2018, Nintendo was on a generational run, but now they've staked their first-year catalogs with titles such as Metroid Prime 4, Mario Kart World, Star Fox again, and Mario Tennis? Don't get me wrong, there's some great games, they just cost a lot. But on July 23rd, 2026, Nintendo dropped this gem.
He was whipping up amazing foods, like making happiness. Actual happiness? Actual happiness and joy. Bro, the smell, it was so divine. He was making happiness? Yes.
I've spent like 25 hours in this game in 2 weeks. That's a whole ass day of my life. So, should you buy this game? Yeah, 100%. I know this seems like lazy, but I think this can be enjoyed by everyone. If you have 500 hours on Splatoon 3, we haven't even touched the franchise. One thing the discourse surrounding this game has taught me is that outside the normal Splatoon players, a lot of people hate how imbalanced the multiplayer is, which is fair. Splatoon 3 can be ass. A lot of those people have always thought that Splatoon has had a lot of potential, but never lived up to it. And I would argue that Splatoon Raiders is Splatoon at peak creativity. If you haven't played the game yet, it's similar to Side Order in the sense that you can slowly progress your abilities, but in a way, it's also similar to Salmon Run with its enemies. Both of these modes obviously had their weaknesses, getting repetitive in their own ways. Side Order's main weakness was the boring enemies, while Salmon Run's was its lack of interesting attacks and weapons. But I think Splatoon Raiders is the perfect combination of the two. It has new and improved Salmon Run bosses with more extreme variants to make it more interesting. Every single boss you can think of has like a crazy powerful one. They also just have new bosses, and the existing ones are just more interesting, less annoying in some ways. Obviously the coolest part of this game are the gadgets, which give you really unique ways to blow shit up. The mainline Splatoon games, their main gimmicks are like the specials and the subs, but the gadgets are so fun to mess with. Every kit has 4 or 5 of them, I think, and they're all just really unique and different. They're genuinely so fun to mess with, and getting the upgrades on them is great. There's like, when you first get any of them, you think they're terrible or just kind of lame, but after you get a couple upgrades, it makes them so much better. Another thing is the idols are more involved. Previously, they would all just stay back and tell you to focus. But in this game, they're actually with you in the trenches, getting flung around. Now, I think one of the best parts about this game is it's crispy. And I mean that in a lot of ways. First off, the graphics are amazing. You can see when you shoot how the ink settles differently. It's great. This game stays at 60 frames per second all the time. It's never dropped, even when there's straight bullshit happening, and that happens a lot. I think one of the complaints about this game is it isn't on the Switch 1. This game felt like it was made for the Switch 2. I can't see it being played on a less powerful console with how many enemies there are. Honestly, the Switch 1 couldn't even run normal Salmon Run, and this is levels above that. But the most crispy part of this game is the sound effects. Every time you collect something, kill something, change something, it makes the best noise you've ever heard in your entire life. This game is also very highly rated, with an 81 from critics and a 9.3 from users, but because of recent events, I can also understand why there is some skepticism for gaming critics. The $50 price tag might also throw some people off because it's obscenely cheap considering the recent track record of gaming, but I think this game is well worth its price. I think there is a really decent amount of content in this game. Honestly, like, for a $50 game, this is definitely more than you'd expect. I'm never going to say a game's underpriced, but compared to other Switch 2 exclusives, it's pretty good. Some of the disadvantages I could think of is most of the gameplay is like really similar. All the same gameplay and all the same premise where you just kind of kill the enemies and get stuff from it, but I think the way that they structure the game makes it still intriguing. There's different kinds of levels that you come across in the game. There are ones similar to the previous Splatoon campaigns where you kill all the enemies until they reach the end, and those are more like environmental. There are like massive open world areas where you farm power eggs to beat the level, and usually they take a pretty long time, but in a good way. And the most unique one is the compass levels, which usually limit you to 1 or 2 gadgets to make you solve puzzles in a very similar way to Octo Expansion. This obviously keeps the puzzle solving aspect of Splatoon, but also expands on it in a way, as before you'd be using like specials and stuff, but now the gadgets are definitely the most interesting thing they could use for puzzles and stuff, and I think they use them to their full potential. The other disadvantage I could think of is that it just doesn't have a story. There's still C-scrolls for the lore, but up front the bosses aren't really connected to the big story. It just kind of happens. That being said, I know if you look hard enough, there are definitely some theories and lore that can be seen with them, but overall this game is amazing. It's definitely the best single player campaign in the series, and is fully deserving of its own game. Thanks for listening to my Yap Sesh. If you want more content like this, like and subscribe. I haven't really been doing scripted stuff or even like just talking ever. So if you like this, let me know. I just play video games and shit too. So if you'd like that, subscribe as well. Thanks for watching.